My whole life was based on a lie. Can't go back to the way things were.
A real man doesn't avoid hard things. He faces what scares him.
Will. Get dressed and buckle up.
What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm J and we are locked in. Season 2 of Bel-Air is right around the corner. They did a hell of a job with season 1, and now we need to know what is next for Will Smith when it comes to him being in Bel-Air moving forward to season 2. Now, before we jump into this and break it down, we're going to be doing breakdowns of Bel-Air, daily videos, after show discussions. So make sure you tune in every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the Bel-Air Sundays live after show discussion. But until then, hit your subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Make sure you hit that like button and follow me on Instagram right here. Now, young Will Smith, he's going to have to step it up in season 2. We've seen a lot of growth towards the end of season 1 in Will, but I think this season we're going to definitely see a whole new Will, especially after the finale where we seen that his dad didn't want him. So let's jump into it. This is what's next for Will going into season 2 of Bel-Air. We all know the story. You're moving with your auntie and uncle to Bel-Air. Once he got here, he didn't adjust as well as we thought he would, but that's expected for a young teenager, especially one that's shooting in these streets. Now, Will, he was a menace out in Philly, but they're trying to change things around with the home that he's living in Bel-Air with his uncle and auntie, Phil and Viv. Him and Carlton, they didn't have the best of relationship when they first met, but that's expected also. But as the season went on, we start to see some growth in both Carlton and Will. Now, Will did go behind Carlton's back and take his ex. That's neither here or there. We're going to speak about Lisa. But in the end, Carlton actually became a very good individual, and we started to like Carlton a little more towards the end of the season. Moving forward, we know that in the finale, Will met his dad. His dad couldn't really be there for him. And this has Will wondering, what the hell am I really out here for? I had to leave Philly. I'm out here. No one's telling me anything. So for Will, he thinks that everyone is against him. In reality, we know as adults, looking back at it, man, they're just trying to do the best for you. Of course, they're giving you a better opportunity. You got a Lexus to drive around, but everything isn't going to be handed to you. But from the trailer, it looks like we might see Will revert back to that Philly side of him. Philly, born and raised, Will Smith. That might be what we're seeing. And I don't know if that's going to be good out in LA because the environment is totally different than what he's accustomed to back in Philly. I have a feeling that the relationship between him and Carlton, like we said, they got closer. I think Carlton is actually going to be the one that's level-headed in telling Will, hey, don't do this, you should do this. We know he had his issues with his drugs back in season 1, but it looks like we might be past that, and he's actually trying to be there for Will and give him advice. You know how much strength it took from young Carlton to put the issue that he had with Will behind him, especially knowing that he was dealing with Lisa? That hurt him. But Carlton, he stood up. He knew what it was, and hey, he's okay with it. So Carlton in season 2, he's going to have his own issues. We're going to talk about that in his video. But I think as far as his relationship with Will, this is going to be a bond that he actually needs. Now, you remember in the OG Fresh Prince, Carlton and Will, they would clown each other, but they loved each other and they would always look out for each other. Now, in this one, they were a little spiteful against each other, but we did see that change. We did a complete 180. So Carlton might be the piece that Will actually needs outside of his homeboy Jazz to keep him on track. Speaking of Jazz, his role should get bigger in season 2. And him and Will, from the trailer, we see them out hooping, hustling a little bit of money. So the Philly Will is back. And who would be better to navigate him through these LA streets than none other than someone who grew up in it, our boy Jazz. Jazz got the music store. Jazz is also with Hilary now. Well, kind of with Hilary, but he's going to be that mentor to Will because he's a little bit older and tell Will, this is what we should do. He's going to be the wheels for him also because, you know, Will's not going to be able to drive the Lexus everywhere where he's going to be hooping at because he's going to be an easy target. So I think Jazz and Will's relationship, we're going to see it blossom more. And now they're going to be, you know what I'm saying, giving each other advice throughout the whole season. I think that Jazz actually has a good chance with getting Hilary out of this little 360 deal she got because it doesn't look like we've seen any progress from her. Season 1, she was messing up some things, but I think Jazz is going to be the one to get her right. Hilary is the big sister to Will. Yeah, they're cousins, but I consider them brother and sister. Now, she's always been giving advice to Will and letting him know, hey, you can cut the corner here, but don't do it here, because she grew up in this environment. She knows how it is. She's trying to be independent and do her own thing, and she sees Will going through the same thing. Also, she knows where Will came from, and this is a perfect opportunity for him, so she doesn't want Will to blow that. Will and Hilary, these two, I don't know if they're going to be as close as we're going to see between Will and maybe like Jazz and Carlton, but I can see them two leaning on each other for advice and help. We know Hilary has her thing going on with the other influencers, and I think Will's going to be the one dealing with Jazz, because Jazz is going to probably bring those problems to Will and say, man, Hilary's doing this and doing this. Could you talk to her for me? So these three, this little triangle offense that they have, it could work for everybody, but it's really going to be up to Hilary to take the advice from these two brothers and apply it in her life, because Will is actually there for each and every one of the siblings. And as we know from the original Fresh Prince, him and Ashley were always real close. So Will, he's kind of like I won't say a middleman, but he's the outside source that these kids definitely need in the house. You know, change up the flavor a little bit. So I could see him giving Ashley some advice in this season. We already know about him and Carlton, and then we just spoke about Hilary. So overall, Will, he's going to be good for all of the kids. It's the parents. That's who we need to deal with. Aunt Viv, Uncle Phil, and where the hell is Geoffrey? Speaking of Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, they have their own marital issues, but every relationship does. Now, they brought Will in, and they're treating Will more like a son than a nephew. But that's what you're supposed to do when you bring in family. You're supposed to love them and nurture them. Now, the only issue is they've been hiding things from Will. And Will always thought they were against him because of how he lives. Now, he's not as proper and formal as the Banks, but he can still fit in. He can hold a conversation, and that's good on Will. The only thing is, how much can he trust Uncle Phil with Geoffrey going behind his back and making moves, making calls, and Aunt Viv really not telling them everything either? You see what I'm saying? So I think there's always going to be a dilemma between them, and we've seen that in the original Fresh Prince with him versus Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. But I think it's going to be more honed in this season. But I also think that Uncle Phil is going to, let back a little bit. Let Will be Will. Let him come into the manhood on his own, but trying to guide him. But of course, they're going to clash. And I mean, that's going to happen. We're just going to have to wait and see. It should be a good season with Will and Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. Hopefully. The campaign is out the way, so we ain't got to worry about that no more. The last and final thing that we have to touch bases on is Miss Lisa. And I don't know how Will is going to get through this season 2, because he said he loved Lisa. He loved her in season 1. So if she's done with him, she doesn't want to be involved with him, or he starts doing other things, because we know he's about to be hustling, probably troubles at school. How is this going to affect Will's legacy moving forward? Because it seems like he might be trying to do any and everything he can to get Lisa back in his life all the way. Because you remember, he was on the phone calling Hilary, asking, what can I do to get her back? You see what I'm saying? So Lisa, if she's still in Will's life throughout the whole season, I won't say it's holding Will back, but when she's around, it's going to be a little shadow on Will, and he's going to be hesitant to do things that we think he should probably go for it and do. You know what I'm saying? So she might be a distraction, but then again, she has helped Will out since he's been here in LA. And I think moving forward, her and Will's life towards the end of the season will work out perfectly between the two. We just gonna have to see. But right now, Lisa, we kind of on the fence with her. All right, there you go. Let me know what you think about Will. What are your predictions on him and his relationship with all of his family members? Also with Jazz and his girl, Lisa. How do you think it's going to play out for Will? How much trouble is he going to get into? That's probably the first thing we're going to see Will do, is get into some trouble. But let me know what you think. I'm J. Like I said, Sunday nights will be Bel-Air nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.